I think that you are pretty sharp, and you probably have the ability to watch a 10 or 15-second video clip and make a decision on what's happening. You probably can look and say, you know what just happened is right or it's wrong. It's good or it's bad. Do you think you have the ability to do that? Let's try it right now. Check it out.
Mommy, don't look. Oh my God, guys, please don't look. Adeline, please look away, Adeline. Please look away. Look out that door.
Well, that was crazy. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. I had a plan to make a totally different video today, and this story popped up in my lap this morning. Horrific. I shared it on our Instagram account, and what I saw in the comments section horrified me. Broke my heart a little bit, and I thought, okay, I'm going to change course today, and I want to do the video we're going to do here now. Objective reasoning. Objective reasoning. Most of us feel that we have the ability to look at information and be objective and use good reason. Objective reasoning means that I can make a decision based on facts, based on data, based on best practices, not based on my emotions, not based on prejudice, not based on people swaying me because I think they're cool or anything like that. Facts and figures, objective reasoning. A lot of folks saw this clip and they said things like, why was she outside of the car? Or, well, what led up to it? I'd need to know that before I made a decision. Well, let's look at a few facts right out of the gate. The man in the situation, his name is Gladier Kwesi, I believe. Kwesi, Kwesi. Her name, Hilia Soares. I do believe I'm pronouncing them correctly. He's 300 pounds and like 6'2". She is 5 feet tall, 110 pounds. So he is approximately 3 times her body weight, and he is well over a foot taller than her. So we could say significantly bigger. Witnesses say that the slam that we saw in that video was not the first slam that happened. The woman that filmed it, eyewitness, her and others corroborated the story that the victim had, that she was slammed more than once. In fact, what was happening was she was following too close. She rear-ended him when he braked, when he applied brakes quickly. That's her fault, right? If you rear-end somebody, it's your fault. You're following too close. There's almost no good reason to rear-end somebody. You follow far enough back that you have time to stop, right? That's just like driving 101. So they stopped there because of that fender bender. The witnesses, numerous witnesses, say that the male approached her vehicle, beat on the roof, and eventually drug her from the car. When the video sequence starts, what we see is what looks like she hits him. Well, they said she was defending herself. She said that. Witnesses said that. Then we see him pick her up, slam her again. Causes some bone fractures. I believe she sustained fractures to her legs and possibly her head and eye orbit. Folks said, well, maybe she was attacking him. Now, I'm going to use objective reasoning. I train martial arts. I have grappled with people from 90-pound women to 350-pound and heavier men. In fact, I've competed with a man, lost to him. He didn't submit me, though, and scored no points on me. It was just a decision that was well over 350 pounds and probably 6 inches taller than me. Was able to just stay in a state of a stalemate, but he was more aggressive, apparently. That said, it's not easy. There is this idea of disparity of force, but had that woman had a machete, a baseball bat, a firearm, a knife, now you could see, okay, I could see why this 300-pound man, 3 times her size, would pick her up and slam her on her head. I mean, how about just using your hands to stop, right? How about grabbing her and just stopping her? How about going back to his vehicle? How about not getting out, approaching a woman's car, beating on the roof? How about none of those things happening? The reason that I pivoted from the earlier discussion, this idea of going armed into the world, it's our Second Amendment right to go armed into the world, and now we live in this very litigious society where everybody sues everybody, right? We live in cities where prosecutors, police chiefs, district attorneys, they want to just stick it to you, even if you've done what apparently is the right thing. And then people go out and they buy these different coverages. And sometimes those coverages work, sometimes they don't work. And the thing that I am a huge advocate of, huge, let's just say that you or I are out in the world and we've got all the coverages. We can afford to have all the companies cover these insurance type businesses, these group policies where lawyers and smart people are going to come to our rescue. That team of lawyers, even if they're the crack lawyers, the best ones out there, they're only as good. Their capabilities are limited by the bowl of ingredients that you, the defendant, the victim, slide across the table to them. They can't just make up evidence. They can't just create a good case if you don't have the ingredients of a good case. The situation that we're looking at, you, this objective person that's got good reason, good logic, the ability to deduce fact from fiction. You look at that and you're a juror, and that guy says, I was in fear for my life. This woman was screaming. She was irate. She was striking me. And you look at this hulking man. If I was the attorney for the woman, I would say, sir, could you please stand up for the ladies and gentlemen in the courtroom? I'd say, sir, how big are you? What's the height? How much do you weigh? And he says 6'2", and I'm 300 pounds. And okay, it checks out. That's what the police have here on the record. It looks like you are 6'2", 300 pounds. That's what they weighed you and measured you to be when they checked you in at your arrest, because you beat up my client, right? You in the jury box are gonna go, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yet we've got this whole community of these freedom-loving people. We've got this whole community of people that love righteousness and right and wrong. And they're quick to jump on the bandwagon of these horrible DAs and state's attorneys and these horrible police chiefs and sheriffs and these horrible judges. The jury matters. The people that are voting for these politicians matter. The people out in public that end up on a grand jury that indict these people or don't indict them matter. We want to go through our lives with some type of surety, some guarantee that nothing bad will happen, right? We want to know that we can eat this pill and this vitamin will veil and cover us from cancer or heart disease, right? Oh, chocolate's good for you. I'm going to eat chocolate. Red wine's good for me. A little beer's good for me. Sleep's good for me. And so we do these things because they make us feel like we're doing something. We go get that policy. A couple $100 a year, a couple $100 a month for the coverage for our boat or our camper or our car, in case something bad happens. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. How do we reduce risk? Through our choices, right? We can have the best policy. We can have the best policy against fire in our office like this, or our home can burn to the ground. They might write you the check, but they're not replacing the photos of your child. They're not replacing the pottery that your grandma made. They're not replacing your loved one that burned up and died in the fire. We have to make choices that defend us and protect us. We have to put up a wall of defense against our own emotions. A family member of mine recently said, feel all your emotions. Yeah, you can feel them. You don't act on all of them. We've all said something like this before. I hate that person, or I wish that they died. Usually we don't really, especially when we're kids, want that to happen. The movie Home Alone, Christmas movie, right? I wish you died. I wish you were all gone. I wish I was an only child, right? We've all said stupid things like that. We don't really mean it. So just because we have an emotion doesn't mean that we should act on said emotion. In fact, we need to be very wary of those emotions because we are objective and because we are reasonable and because we know that those emotions could put us into a place where in the moment it might seem right, but later we might look back and say, God, that was very dumb. I now have this heavy price to pay because I made a poor decision, a poor choice. It weighs on me. I read these comments and I don't know everything. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a dude that likes to read and research these things. I study history. I study the ancients, the philosophers, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, etc., Marcus Aurelius, and these other thinkers, modern day folks like Emerson or Locke, modern in comparison to thousands of years ago. They all arrived at the same conclusion on these ideas. There is only so many opportunities for us to enjoy the day, to go about our life. I talked to a friend of mine today I haven't talked to in a while. He's got a hard job. He's a judge, actually. I did not talk to him about this, but we haven't seen each other much. I knew him long ago before he was a judge, and I could tell that job weighed on him. He does family court, and he told me, this is, divorce and things like that. He told me almost daily, he says to a set of parents, years from now, you're going to want to be able to talk to this other person. You're going to want to be at the graduation with your kids, at the wedding. You're going to want to be able to sit in the picture for the grandkid. Today is the stuff where you're making choices based on emotion, where that day will probably never happen because of the things you're saying and doing, causing so much pain. He can say that because he's using reason. He's seen these things, but when we're in the moment, it's hard to. Look, that video, we could break that down. We could do the little internet breakdown. Hey, I'm the gun guy that sits in my little room in the safety of my room and I talk about things. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Most of the people that do that, no offense, don't listen to them. Go learn to fight with your fists, with your feet, with your knees, with your elbows. Go learn to grapple. And in doing so, you're going to find out, man, there's a lot of dudes that can beat my butt. I don't want to mess around. I want to have these skills, and if I need them, I'm gonna rise to the occasion. Fortify your heart and mind so that if you need to get violent, you can transition from quiet, mind your own business citizen to a roaring lion. If you are a small female, if you're a female of any kind, you are at a disadvantage to almost every man on the planet when it comes to physical violence. That's not sexist. That's not insulting or inflammatory. It's a fact. Men's hearts are bigger. Their bones are bigger. Their muscles are bigger. Our cardiovascular system allows us to lift more for longer. It's a fact. Sorry. Gals, you need to have the upper hand, and that's going to be cunning, guile, viciousness, righteous anger, weapons, tools. But the fact is, even with all of those things, even grown men with training get beaten. Don't allow yourself to be in that position. Don't exit the vehicle. Drive away. Call 911. I am in a bad position. I just was involved in a car wreck. The person that I bumped their bumper is trying to get me out of my vehicle. I am driving to the mall, the gas station. I'm in this vehicle. Please send help. Get out. Don't just get out of your car, right? Of course, you might not have a say-so. Maybe they drag you out like what happened here. Don't be quick to see a little bit of information like a video like this and make judgments without the facts. We are judged by what we knew at the time, right? A judge will give this information to a jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant here, we are judging them by what they knew at the time, not what they found out later in the news, not what they found out when they went and looked on Facebook. We are judged by what they knew at the time. Would a reasonable and prudent person have done the same things? Would a reasonable and prudent person pick up a 110-pound woman and slam her on the ground, not once, but multiple times? Would they do that in a street full of people, knowing full well somebody is watching? Which doesn't mean because nobody's watching we get away with it, but even with people watching, I'll make this horrible choice. No, a reasonable person wouldn't do that. Here's my challenge to you. go out and get these coverages. They're good. I recommend CCW Safe. We've got a discount code. I only give it to people in private. You can email us, not the nature of this video. A bunch of these companies don't do what they say they're going to do, but it doesn't matter if you have the best, which is CCW Safe, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if you have all of them. If you do not have the ingredients of a real self-defense case, if you are passing off information that makes you look like an aggressor, puts you in the light of a criminal, you're hurting yourself. Understand the law. We're not trying to find some limits and then walk the edge where we are going to commit a crime or get away with something. We are seeking to do right, but we are forced to be violent righteously because of the actions of the criminal, of the violent. Not the let me see how I can get away with something. Does this stuff make sense? I hope it does. Work on developing not just control of our emotions, but awareness of them. Why do I feel this way? What's the best outcome? Okay, my car got banged up. It sucks. That guy didn't have a driver's license. I'm sure he was angry. What's worse, getting a ticket for no license or now being arrested for assault? Being all over the internet, having your face smeared across the internet for beating a woman up. Understanding that, crap, this is not my day. I should not have been driving without a license. Whatever the reason is, doesn't matter. Now, best course of action is I sit here, wait for the cops to arrive, pay the piper, right? What's the best course of action? Well, definitely not let this guy drag me out of my car, because a reasonable person is not going to pound on the roof of somebody's car in broad daylight and try to drag them out of it. Thus, I understand that something is happening here that is not normal. I need to protect myself. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Please. Understand when I say that what I am saying is kindness. The scripture said it, right? A soft answer turns away wrath. The act of kindness, a smile. Of course, some serial killer hell-bent on killing you. This is not what I'm talking about, but a smile oftentimes will go much farther than an FU. If we can diffuse a situation, even if you feel justified in being rage-filled, where does that rage take you? Because you're right with handcuffs on you, you're right with a police officer that you've now ticked off, which is a whole nother discussion, because you're right that this person that bumped you now hears you screaming because you're right. Soft answer turns away wrath. A smile sometimes is the best thing, and sometimes that smile will calm you. Deep breaths. Think about what's important now. What do I need to win? CarryTrainer.com for training. CarryTrainer.com for merchandise like this Luck is for Suckers, because luck is for suckers. You make your own luck through planning, through good choices, through observation and awareness, through being reasonable, even when others aren't, and understanding that even if you are judged by that jury of your peers, they will be looking at the facts collected by somebody that you have no control over, probably a prosecutor that's going to work very hard to paint a picture to make you look as bad as they possibly can. It's your job to create that body of evidence by living in a manner that no one can doubt your actions. Bye now. So if I'm in the appendix position, as I go to retrieve the gun, we've got a couple of key things, right? I've got to get the cover garment out of the way, and I got to obtain a master grip. So support hand is going to clear the cover garment. Multiple ways to do that. I go to the bottom of the garments, get a good grip on those garments, and just come straight up, bend at your elbow. And that's something you can dry rep for days right here. Yes? As I clear it, now I've got all this space exposed. My hand comes right to the gun. I train for the realities of the world. You've got groceries in your hand. Groceries get dumped, and I go to the gun, yes? So think about bold movements to burn in those reps. If I'm here, the same thing. If I don't have a cover garment on, or if I do, I still have to clear it and go to the gun. So if you've got an open cover garment, we're going to sweep it open, right? Yes, no? Sweep, catch with your forearm and punch down to the gun, yes? If we don't grab over the gun, we end up hooking things onto the gun, especially if you've got optics and things like that. So grab over the gun, pull straight up, and clear it. Make sense? Butt cheek, same thing. Grab as far back as you can and pull up into your armpit. Support hand is never going in front of the holster on the way in or out. Yes? It's either holding the cover garment or we'll come up to our chest here and get it out of the way if we don't have a cover garment. Make sense? So in reality, the gun comes up and we connect them. Paul calls it the collection point. Collect, don't you? I do. The collection point. So I'm going to prep this hand so that it can meet, right? They're going to meet somewhere around here. So support hand's going to come to the center of the body. 1, 2, 3, collection point, 4, punch out. Yes? Bring the gun back in. We could call this position 3, or what else maybe? Yeah, compressed ready, high compressed. So there's a bunch of nuancy names depending on what flavor of person you spent your time training with. Position 2, trigger guards clear. Is my holster clear? Yep, I'm in no rush here. Notice my muzzle's not going to anybody but the dirt. Look, I'll move my hip out too. I don't want to, every time I point a gun at myself, there's an opportunity to shoot myself. So if I need to, I can bring the gun around to go to the holster. Make sense? So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, trigger guard's clear, my holster's clear, it's safe to holster. We're not racing these guns back into the holster. Make sense?